Welcome to Stargate SG-1 for the first time. Still not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I am watching Stargate SG-1 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the 47th time. But for the first time, I am going to be looking for what Stargate is trying to teach us. You know, those lessons that hold up a mirror to society, give us hope that things can be better in the future, or just tell us how we can be better human beings to one another.
Brent, we are at the end of the first season of SG-1.
In the last episode, Jeff, you said for the first time you can't wait to press play on the next episode.
Yeah, I'm dying to see what happens.
Here we are. We're 2 days later. We tried to go last night. So we recorded 2 nights ago. We tried to go last night. Stuff happened.
And here we are. As soon as we could possibly make this happen, I'm dying to get to this one. Brent, I know you've probably got some facts and some cool things. Spit them out so we can dive in.
Just a few. This is episode 22 of the first season, Within the Serpent's Grasp, and it is a two-parter. It's a cliffhanger. It's a to-be-continued technically, I guess last time was also a to-be-continued, but this one really is one episode kind of a deal. Season premiere of season 2. So by the time we're done with today, Jeff, you are going to be solidly in season 2. Titles of the episode: Within the Serpent's Grasp and The Serpent's Lair. The original air date, March 6th, 1998 for the first one. And honestly, I forgot to look up the second one. I don't know how long after it was. I'll look up that later. Jeff, you know that prior to the show even going to air, Showtime ordered 44 episodes. They knew they would have 2 full seasons.
Yep.
Prior to this episode, I'm not sure exactly where, but it was before the first season was over. Showtime ordered an additional 2 seasons. So they know at this point they're going 4 seasons with this show.
Okay.
You know, now I suppose that still means they could get canceled at any time. Showtime could say psych, but so far they got a 4-season order on their hands. Everything else, Jeff, we're going to talk about after the show.
Awesome.
So with that, why don't we go ahead and jump into the show today? Folks, if you are joining us for the very first time, what you are about to see, the way this works, Jeff and I are going to be watching this video for the first time right now. We're going to be here right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll get the reaction video. And if you are wanting to see the full unedited version, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Babylon5First, where you can see the full uncut reaction to these 2 episodes.
If you're listening to the audio on one of the awesome podcasting apps that are out there, we're going to jump ahead. We're going to jump ahead like an hour and a half in time.
Hello to the future.
Welcome. Well, we'll see you in the future here in just a moment. Boom, just like that, where I'm going to share my for the first time reactions to these 2 episodes. And then Brent's going to regale us with any of those sci-fi messages that he may or may not have found in the season 1 finale and season 2 opener. Brent, let's dive in.
Chevron 7 locked.
One of the most important skills a general can have is straddling that line between military leader and politician. And today, Hammond is leaning heavily on the politics side. He's been to Senator Kinsey. He's been to the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and even the President himself. And none of them have the guts to stand up to the almighty, the all-powerful Senate Appropriations Committee. No, my friends, this is the end of the Stargate program. But they haven't shut the power off yet. So Daniel convinces them to head through to the place that the Mirror SGC found to stop the, apparently, impending Goa'uld attack. When they emerge, they're in a big room full of guns. Like, there are so many guns. All these staff weapons and these Zatnikatels, or Zat guns. This place is no joke, filled with patrolling Jaffa and this big old floaty ball thing that, according to Tilk, is a Goa'uld communication device, which we see in action as Apophis introduces his son Chlorel to the Jaffa. When he emerges, though, Jack kinda loses it. Chlorel is Skara. They eventually figure out they're on a Goa'uld mothership, hyperspacing towards Earth. The attack really is coming. Luckily, they're carrying a bunch of C4 explosives, which they set to planting all over the ship, while Jack and Teal'c go after Chlorel Skara. They get him and try to get Skara to overtake the Chlorel Goa'uld, which he kind of starts to do, until a Zat gun comes into play, and I learn that 1 shot stuns and 2 shots kill, and Chlorel takes full control. Chlorel calls his daddy to tell him about the great Goa'uldy thing that he just did, and Apophis tells him to execute Jack and Teal'c immediately. But instead of doing it right away, he takes him to the bridge. They just came out of hyperspace, and he wants SG-1 to watch Earth get blown out of the sky. Literally. Lots of action as the crew tries to fight their way out, and it all culminates with Chlorel hand-wavy thinging Daniel. Jack freaks out, tells him to stop, screams at him to stop. But Chlorel is totally in control and won't. And this leaves Jack no other choice. He shoots Chlorel, killing him. Shocked and upset, they watch out the front window as the ship nears Earth. And as the camera pans out, in a really cool looking shot, we see that there's not just their ship, but a second mothership waiting for them at Earth as well. To be continued.
Knowing that they are the last line of defense between the Goa'uld and Earth, since Kinsey's an idiot, Colonel O'Neill orders Sam to set off the C4 that would destroy the ship they're on, and them with it. But right before she pushes the button, a second Goa'uld mothership warps in. It's Apophis himself. Sure, they could go ahead and destroy the ship they're on, but it won't destroy Apophis's ship, which means the Goa'uld attack is still on. So they don't blow up the ship, and they get captured by the Jaffa. Lucky for them, this group of Jaffa are commanded by our dear old friend, Mr. Braytak. He does his part to set SG-1 free and lets them know that what they're waiting on right now is for Chlorel, a.k.a. Skara's Goa'uld, to come out of the sarcophagus that Braytak himself placed him into, which doesn't actually take too long, and the team heads to the bridge of the ship, where they capture Chlorel, and Braytak moves the ship closer to Apophis's. Unfortunately, Daniel gets gravely injured. He tells Jack to leave him, and he'll hold them off, and give the rest of SG-1 time to get out. Everyone rings over to Apophis's ship as Chlorel's ship goes boom, and they destroy Apophis's controls as well. Just as his ship also goes boom, Apophis and Chlorel escape through the rings, and SG-1 and Braytak escape through the death gliders found in the hangar bay. What about Daniel, you ask? Well, turns out he managed to make it to a sarcophagus, heal up real quick, and gate out to the SGC's Alpha site before the ship exploded. Now, while all of that was going on, back on Earth in the SGC, Hammond wants to know what's up. Kinsey's sleazy stooge, Lieutenant Colonel Samuels, calls in the Goa'uld Busters, warheads enhanced with Naquita. But as you can imagine, they don't work. Apparently, no one ever saw Independence Day. You can't just shoot the large attacking alien vessel. You have to upload a virus, you silly. Hammond orders the evacuation of the SGC to the Alpha site. Everyone except for Samuels. Before long, Gate Guy himself informs Hammond that 2 brilliant flashes in the night sky just happened, and the attacking ships are gone. This prompts a lot of celebration, and Hammond just seems to know that it's SG-1, despite not having any evidence. He literally sends a space shuttle to go get them and bring them back home. And in the celebration, he reveals that Dr. Daniel Jackson has also made it back safely. And with that, Apophis has finally been defeated. Or has he? Also, I guess the Stargate program is finally going to get the funding it needs after it saved Earth. All right, Jeff, well, you and I have just watched the Season 1 finale, the Season 2 premiere Within the Serpent's Grasp and Serpent's Lair. Jeff, what about it?
So you said before we started this, they ordered another 44 episodes, so 2 seasons.
Yep.
Coming into this, they knew they were going to be doing 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get how. I mean, this finale and premiere were garbage. This was so dumb and boring, and I didn't like it. Yeah, this was amazing. I can't even pretend.
I just watched this with you.
Right.
You were enjoying it. I know you were because I saw you.
This was great. I think we talk so much about season 1 sci-fi in the 90s. And like, with few exceptions, they're garbage. And even those exceptions have a lot of garbage, right? I'm thinking Babylon 5, Voyager, like they're good first seasons, but all in all, on balance, Stargate SG-1's first season was amazing. Only like 3 or 4 episodes that weren't good.
Yeah.
Everything else was at least watchable. But to close out, to give you a story, a cliffhanger, and a finale almost to the level of Best of Both Worlds in your first season, dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. That's all I have to say. It was funny. No, but seriously, a couple of things on this. One, I was thinking about the pacing of these episodes. I've been kind of critical on pacing through this season.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, especially in Serpent's Grasp, it just felt slow for a while. Like I just kind of kept waiting for it to pick up, and it never did. But despite that, they packed so much in. And that pace really continued in Serpent's Lair. It was still like a few moments of, high intensity stuff. But for the most part, it was just kind of, here's the thing that happens. Here's the thing that happens. Here you go, bit by bit. But it was the perfect pace for something this big. They built on things from prior episodes, which was, just little pieces. Braytac coming back and dropping the line about, crossing the bridge when you come to it. I picked up on that right away. It's like, oh man, how cool is that?
He said the line.
And then I talked about it last week when I was like predicting this and we were talking about it a little bit. We might actually see a Gould ship. For me, having not seen the movie yet, here we are in the second season. I still got to watch the movie.
I just keep waiting for you to say, hey, Brent, let's watch the movie.
Well, here's just a little insight so people know behind the curtain. I'm going to watch the movie as part of the release party of us releasing these episodes. We haven't started releasing these episodes yet.
Man, talk about getting them in the can.
I know, right? We're kind of kicking butt here. It's nice.
Hello from the past.
Yeah, quite a ways in the past, actually. So we got to see the ship, which is really cool. Those things they're huge. They're powerful. It was neat. They survived 2 1,000 megaton missiles like nothing. They had the Naquita on, enriched in there, and that's what kind of gave it that extra oomph. And that was a part of the strategy to blow up the first ship. They're planting these C4 explosives throughout the ship, and let's put it on the Stargate because the Naquita should really ramp this up. Some of the key points in this one that came out was we got to see Skara. So my prediction was we'd see Shara near the end of the first episode, and we'd think, oh, look, she's coming through. She's getting saved, whatever. And then that'd be followed through the second episode, and then at the end, she'd kind of screw him over and be like, ha, I am still with Apophis, blah, blah, blah. Nope, we got Skara instead.
Yep.
And it's a cool story with Skara. Still fighting, trying to get control of Chlorel. Chlorel is Apophis's son, and it's very normal in their culture for the son to go after the pharaoh. It's a thing that they're always kind of on the lookout for. Braytac wanted to take advantage of that, but in a big moment. So much of this was Jack trying to connect with Skara. Come on, dude, get out, fight this guy. I'm Jack, you remember me, the cool guy? Come on. And Chlorel was filthy dirty. Just like, no, dude was weak. I crushed him. He doesn't even want to come forward. He's so weak.
Right.
Trying to get at Jack, and O'Neill didn't take it at all. And then Skara fought back. And there were some moments, but the scariest thing, and had me going for quite a while, is he was not Skara, but Chlorel had the little, hand laser thing on Daniel, was going to take him out. And O'Neill shot him. Boom, boom. With a 45, killed him. Oh my gosh. In my head, Skara and Chlorel are both dead. They just got shot. It's over. Forgot about the sarcophaguses, which we saw in Hathor. Learned about that. So they set him up in the sarcophagus. The question I have, and I don't want you to answer the question, I just want you to tell me if it gets answered or not in the show. Are there rules around how severely someone can be hurt and how long after they're hurt they can be revived in the sarcophagus?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying that with like a 95% surety.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that I know where they explain that, but it's also very possible that I'm combining that with something else, but I'm almost positive it's in the show.
It just hit me, and they brought it up even in the narrative of the show. I was like, he was dead. Like there was no like almost dead here. He was dead. And they plopped him in, and it was pretty soon after everything happened. So I was like, okay, well maybe. Well, then when he came back, they opened it up and brought him out, and he had a hard time. Skara was actually kind of gaining the upper hand a little bit in the battle of the mind. And Chlorel was really honest with Apophis, and he's like, dude, I was hurt pretty bad. I think I need more time in the sarcophagus so I have the strength. So my assumption, right, is how long it was, how badly you're injured is basically how long it takes for you to cook.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if it's like, hey, Daniel died, because Daniel also put himself in the sarcophagus before he died.
Right.
But because we know Daniel dies, will there be a time he dies like early in the episode, and then like days and days go by, and like, well, here's a sarcophagus. Let's plop him in, and he just comes back.
That's a good question, Jeff. Keep looking for it.
We'll see if that comes up. We got some new weapons.
Yeah.
And honestly, about damn time.
The Zat Nicotels.
There it is. I was looking for my note. Zat Nicotel that O'Neill named very American friendly.
He did it for us. Yeah.
Oh, it's a Zat gun. We're going to call it a Zat gun. The rules, I'm going to say the rules. People are like, yeah, duh. Those are the rules of a Zat gun. These are brand new to me. 1 shot with a Zat gun is going to stun you. It's going to be super painful. 2 shots will kill you. 3 shots will disintegrate you.
Yes.
As soon as it was in Children of the Gods, I was like, they need to make more of those staff weapons. This whole machine gun and pistol thing just isn't working. They need the staves. Well, we're not going to give them all staves because those are pretty unwieldy and weird to use. So, hey, here's pistol looking things with rules around it. So my guess is we're going to see these Zat guns kind of normally moving forward. And I'm super cool with that. My one big complaint, I have 2 other little complaints. My one big complaint in this one, an ongoing theme that we've seen time and again, is when the Jaffa, is it Jaffa or Jaffa?
Both.
It's both, just like it's Goa'uld and Gould.
Yep, it's both.
Okay.
Depends on who you are and how you want to say it.
Okay, that's fair. I like Jaffa myself, so I'll go with that.
Tomato, potato.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Timmy-toe. My grandmother called it the Timmy-toe.
Oh.
Tomato, Timmy-toe.
Why not?
Well, she was deaf, and that's the best way she knew how to pronounce it, so.
It works. Hey, she gave it a shot. Good for her.
She also would say long time ago, longa bongo. I love her. Rest in peace, Granny. She was amazing.
So every time the Jaffa come up, they got their big staff weapons, their big snake armor, their whole thing. SG-1's like, oh, shoot at him. And the bullets are just like, tink, 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 tink. It's like shooting Superman. Does nothing. Except all of a sudden, they're just taking Jaffa out like crazy. Not only are they shooting him, but like O'Neill kicks him and double axe handles him in the back. And he's like, oh, I'm down.
When you see the early episodes where the armor's like dinking all the bullets off, you're like, wait a sec. Really?
For you, you're like, that happens. And for me, I'm like, what? The bullets work? What the heck? We had the question a little bit, and we kind of talked about it a little bit during the episode itself, but President of the United States activates every bit of the military, the Guard, the reserves, all the branches ready to go, but they don't tell anybody else. They don't tell the UN. They don't tell Canada or anybody. My note was, why aren't they involving the UN or allies? And you asked the question, who do you tell?
Yeah.
I think we talked about it while we were watching in terms of, do you call China? Do you call Russia? Do you call England? But I'm almost thinking about it more in terms of like physically, the person, who do you call? Because the key is we want to let these militaries know that something might be coming down, but also we can't let anybody else know that something could be coming down because the public will freak out.
But imagine you're pick another country. Let's say China. Our relationship with China has not always been smooth.
A little strained.
Hello to our people in China, and hello to my girl Chrissy, who is in China right now. I hope you're watching. Anyway, but think about it. Like, so you're on the receiving end of that phone call from China. What's your first thought?
How are you trying to trick me? What's the subterfuge here?
Bull crap. You're about to launch something and you don't want us to know that that's what you're doing. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking, okay, let's join up and go defend the planet from the Vulcans or whatever.
Wait, so you're telling me that you have been in contact with an intergalactic superpower race that's here to destroy us and you need my help?
Oh, so this is your fault. Got it. And now you're coming to us to fix your problem?
Nequita, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, the Stargate has been under the control of the U.S. military?
For how long?
What?
So a little bit of a they should have, but also I think I understand why they didn't. And really, to what we talked about last week, really shows how the Earth isn't ready for the galactic stage.
Yeah.
You got to be able to call your buddies, to be able to play the big game. My other kind of complaint on it, and maybe I just missed it. People see this as I'm going. I'm watching the episode. I'm kind of taking notes back and forth, so it's very possible I missed it. There are two ships, and there's trouble on both. Braytac staff blasted the main control center or whatever of Apophis's ship, and there's all these C4 explosives on the other one, but Chlorel and Apophis don't know that.
Right.
So shoot, this ship doesn't work anymore. The steering wheel's all busted. Let's ring transport over to the other one so we can do stuff. Shortly after that, ships collide into each other, explode, and die. So my assumption is that Apophis and Chlorel are blowed up and dead.
Yes, that's a good assumption.
But I don't feel like it was very clear.
It's a good assumption. Let's just put it that way.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Before we gate into the rest of this episode, did you know you're missing most of the content from this podcast? Stargate SG-1 for the first time has an active and exciting Patreon that you can join right now by clicking the link in the show notes. Not only will you get access to the full, unedited podcast and reaction videos, you'll also be able to join a growing, vibrant, maybe even an intergalactic community. Subscribers even get access to all of our content from Babylon 5 for the first time. Don't miss out on this content and the amazing people. Just click the link in the show notes. Tilk thinks you should do it right now.
Indeed.
But also, I understand sci-fi enough to be like, well, maybe they weren't going to the other ship. Maybe they were ring transporting to something else or whatever. So in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, we'll probably see Apophis and Chlorel again. But also, I'm like, and also maybe not.
Okay, what's rule of sci-fi?
Oh, if you don't see the body.
Well, no, even if you do see the body.
Yeah, they could. Well, we've seen that with Daniel a couple times.
Yeah, even if you do see the body, they could still figure out a way to tech and techno-babble their way out of it to bring the person back. It's a alternate universe version, or it's a whatever.
Death is not a permanent state in sci-fi.
Speaking of that, by the way, we saw the end of the first episode. Jack shoots Chlorel / Skara, and they die on the floor. It's not until the next episode that we see what we now know is Braytac putting him into the sarcophagus.
That's right.
So the original plan. Now, I did happen to look it up. There was about a 3-month break between the seasons, right, from March into June. Serpent's Lair premiered in June of 1998.
Okay.
The original plan and the original intent was that when Jack shot Skara Chlorel, he died. And that was the intent, was like Jack had to make that as a sacrifice. However, the fan uproar about Jack killing Skara was so great that the writers went in and wrote him into the sarcophagus and back into the script.
Wow.
Yeah. But if you notice, he really did nothing in the second episode. Like, he came back and he disappointed Apophis, and then he just stood behind Apophis the rest of the episode looking like a little boy who's been in trouble and got his hand spanked.
In the continuity with me, I don't even know what happens in the next episode or whatever. I feel like they planted a seed of, hey, Skara is still a real force in the psychology here. Like, he's there, he's still messing with Chlorel. That's going to be a thing that we see again. At this point, probably not. But also, maybe.
Right.
That's cool, though. They responded that way. Because I was even thinking, too, when they shot him, I'm like, well, they probably, like, that dude probably cost a lot of money. Like, he was the movie character guy, so it's not cheap to bring him on. Maybe they're like, we just need an excuse to not bring him back.
Well, I would also say that every time they bring his character back, Ferretti, any of those characters from the movie, they got to pay the guy who wrote the movie.
Not cheap.
I mean, that was the whole Nick Locarno, Tom Paris thing, right?
Exactly.
Unless it's a character that's owned by MGM as a studio and they can give permission. I don't know how the contracts work, but I have no idea.
They generally work in the worst way possible for the creators. That's what we've seen. So yeah, great episodes, great, incredible way of closing out the first season and kicking off the second. It's tough. Like, my last thought heading out is they ended the story. Like, at this point, at the end of the first episode of season 2, they could just be done. That could have been the end. Also, they can pick up and keep going, which is what I assume happens. So those are my for the first time reactions. Brent, did you get any sci-fi messages out of this one?
Yeah, I was watching, and I know some people are like, oh, you weren't paying attention. No, I was paying attention. I was looking, and you know what? I really didn't. I don't know if you did, Jeff. If you picked up on something, please feel free to share. I was racking my brain as I was going through it. Like, I think you can always pull something out that like is not really what they were going for. It's just, hey, here's a couple good leadership lessons that we learned in that. Don't be so sure of yourself. Pride kills. Okay, if I had to pull one out, maybe that's it. Colonel Samuels was super prideful about everything going on, and that didn't work out. Apophis and Chlorel, both super prideful about everything that was going on, didn't work out. Like, yeah,
but also you counter that with Braytak was pretty confident and proud of everything that was going on and worked out fine for him.
So there you go. But again, that's stretching to say. So I'm going to go with no. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's okay. This one's going to get a 0 chevron for me for today, just because it wasn't there. You and I have often said when we first started doing Babylon 5 and we were trying to explain the idea of the concept of deltas, which is what we were using at the beginning. And we would say to people like, hey, listen, don't freak out when we give it a 0 delta rating, because there's a lot of the best episodes of Star Trek would have 0 delta ratings because they were just good episodes. I think this is one of those episodes. It's a good episode, great episode to finish the season on. Good way to start, do the whole cliffhanger thing. And it's going to have a 0 chevron day for me.
Makes sense. It really does. I think there was one line where I was like, oh, that's a neat line, but that's all it was. I don't even remember what it was. So I think 0 chevrons is very appropriate.
All right, Jeff. Well, I got to do that. You get to do the other side, probably the more fun side, but also the more important side. You get to figure out where this particular set of episodes, Jeff, goes in the ranking. Now, we've never done a season bridging cliffhanger in any of these rankings, and we tend to do these by the season, but you got 2 you got to put into this one. So where are you going to place this? You got to take them as a couple. You're not going to split them and say this one goes here and that one goes there. You got to take it as a whole. Where are you placing within the Serpent's Grasp and Serpent's Lair?
Just to cover our basis and to kind of give a clue, why don't you go over what our current top 5 are?
I sure will while I buy time for you to think about it. Our first episode, top of the list, Torment of Tantalus. And the second episode is The Nox. Third episode is Enigma. That's where we met the Tolan. Fourth episode is Cold Lazarus. Fifth episode is Korai. Brief Candle. Here, I'll just go through them. Bloodlines, The Broca Divide, Children of the Gods. Children of Gods got to go up above Korai, doesn't it? Thor's Hammer, Solitude's got to go above Korai, doesn't it? 10-Man, Singularity, Politics, our episode from last week. Fire and Water, Enemy Within, There But For the Grace of God. Wow, the 2 episodes preceding this one have been really far down there. The First Commandment, Hathor, and Emancipation.
Well, and There But For the Grace of God wasn't like a bad episode so much as it was just like you got a really thin premise.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's that line between 17 and 18, between There Before the Grace of God and First Commandment. We have said like that's a hard line between episodes that are just kind of there versus, okay, these are just not good. Objectively, the worst ones of the season.
So I know where these 2 episodes are going, but I have a proposal to make, and I want to run it by you.
Okay. I like proposals.
We agreed when we launched into this, we're just going to take the episodes. We're not going to wrap up the seasons. We're not going to go do wrap-ups or look-backs or anything like that.
Yeah.
When we, in our other properties, when we do those look-backs, we reassess our immutable rankings. So barring that, we're at the end of the season, and there are some moves I think I want to make. Are you open to me making moves, and do you have any thoughts on how I should or shouldn't?
I am open to you. This is your last chance, I would say, to make changes to season 1. Everything is fluid for you. Everything has come unstuck. You get a chance to move. You could move this entire list all the way around, but after today, the season 1 rankings lock in.
I have 3 episodes I want to move. That's it.
Okay.
And not in the order they're in either.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going to move is Solitudes.
Oh, man. Solitudes was the episode with Jack and
Carter
lost in Antarctica that we didn't know was Antarctica at the time. Yeah. Found the other Stargate.
That is going to become the new number 4.
That's a good move. That's a good move.
It is. And you asked me a long time ago when we watched that I had to keep thinking, and I have kept thinking about it. So there's
That's
that.
a good episode. Yeah.
Thor's hammer.
Oh, he's moving Thor's hammer. Oh, is he going to go down? Oh, no. I'm on pins and needles here, folks. For the record, Brent likes Thor's hammer. So
Thor's hammer is going to be the new number 7 right underneath Korai.
Oh, okay. Fair. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Last one I'm going to move is Children of the Gods.
Okay.
Also going up.
Yeah.
It's the new number 5.
Yes. Dude, that's a solid episode, Children of the Gods.
Really was. And part of me wanting to move that is what we just watched. Because I think, that bookend, like, I think what kind of happened in this season is we got Children of the Gods with, just heavy story stuff and mythology and lore and everything. And then we started exploring the galaxy. And that was awesome. But, like, the Gould stuff was always there, but it wasn't like here's Apophis and here's the stuff with Skara and Shara. It was like,
Well, we only ran into Apophis by chance in the episode The Nox.
And the Nox becomes really important in the conversation about where do the Serpents episodes go.
Oh, okay.
Because I loved the Nox. Well, let me start just by Torment of Tantalus is the number 1 episode of this season. Full stop.
And it's going to stay there.
So what I'm looking at this moment right now is, does Serpent's grasp, Serpent's Lair, go above or below what I'm going to call the Nox storyline, which is the Nox and Enigma. One of the things I loved about Enigma is how it played back to the Nox thing and showed just how badass they really are. Like, I'm excited for more of them.
When she walks through that thing and like, whoa, we don't even have the iris down. And she just walks through it, and then she just goes and turns the whole gate on. And think about all the stuff that Omok, the guy from the Tolan, who's like, no, we can't be here. We can't do this. We can't do that. He meets the Nox and he goes, okay.
And so in a way, when I think about this is super high level for me, but it's like, do I enjoy more at this point? I'll say the Apophis Gould storyline stuff, or more of the humanity's role in the galaxy and where do we stand and how do we interact with other species out there? And even though at the beginning we say this is not a Star Trek podcast, we are Star Trek podcasters.
It's our base for sure. That is still there.
And I really enjoy, and even to go to a series like Babylon 5, I enjoy those things that explore humanity's role in the greater piece. So all of that said, the Serpent's grasp, Serpent's Lair, is going to become our number 4 episode on the season.
I like it. I like it. So let's get into the actual ranking here. The way it sits now, we have number 1, Torment of Tantalus. See, Jeff, if we were better YouTubers, we would have this like as a graphic we could just like throw up.
We might, like, that might be here because I might do it when I edit the episode.
I'm going to let you go with that. Anyway, number 1, Torment of Tantalus. Number 2, the Nox. Number 3, Enigma. 4, Serpent's Grasp and Serpent's Lair. 5, Solitudes, Children of the Gods, Cold Lazarus, Korai, Thor's Hammer, Brief Candle, Bloodlines, Broken Divide. I might push that one up just a bit personally. 10 Man, Singularity, Politics, Fire and Water, Enemy Within, There But for the Grace of God, First Commandment, Hathor, and Emancipation. Jeff, if I may comment on your ranking here.
Yeah.
We're locking this one in, right?
We're locking it in.
All right, here you go. Locked in. I feel like we should have that sound effect.
Wait, hold on.
Close enough.
That's as close to a lock and
yeah, because it's the chevrons locking, right? All right. You know, we've talked about how the season has like different levels, like different groupings of episodes. I think you and I are in lockstep with this order on the groupings. Like I'm looking at this top, I'm going to say 6 episodes: Torment of Tantalus, Nox, Enigma, Serpent's Grass, Serpent's Lair, Solitudes, and Children of the Gods. That is elite season 1 SG1. And then you have Cold Lazarus, Korai, Thor's Hammer, Brief Candle, Bloodlines, Broken Divide, maybe 10 Man, maybe not. You kind of go up and down on, but that's like, those are good, solid episodes. Like, they're fun episodes. They're good watches. I'm not going to change the channel when I come across it. And then you have this, again, 10 Man, I may fluctuate just a little bit, but then you have Singularity, Politics, Fire and Water, Enemy Within, and then There But For the Grace of God. That group, am I right, Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's like, if I come across it, maybe I'll change the channel, see what else is on, but I don't mind coming back and watching this set of episodes. And then there's the bottom 3, First Commandment, Hathor, and Emancipation. If I come across it, I'm going to go, oh, it's this episode. Let's go see what else is on, and not come back.
Exactly.
Those are the 3 objectively bad episodes. The rest of them are, I'm happy to watch them. Well, Jeff, with that is going to do it for season 1.
There it is.
Of Stargate SG1. You've completed the entire season. And that's going to do it for the first episode, the premiere of season 2. Jeff, you are firmly entrenched into season 2 now, because next week we're watching season 2, episode 2. The title of that episode, Jeff, is In the Line of Duty.
In the Line of Duty.
Yes. Now I will confirm something you said just a moment ago. This past episode, the ones we just watched, ended a storyline. Next week it's not a carryover from this past. Like, here's a new story. Would you care to venture a guess as to what In the Line of Duty could possibly be about?
When you use that phrase, in the line of duty, it usually means you had to do something you didn't want to do, or something that was above and beyond. And, why did you run into that burning building to save that lady's cat? Well, it's all in the line of duty, ma'am. That's what I do. It's what I do. I feel like this might be more of a, somebody has to do something they don't want to do. And we had a little conversation just a minute ago about movie characters showing up in the TV show and the potential fiscal impacts of that. So I think there's going to be a little something between SG1 and SG2, in that like one of them will be stuck somewhere out, doing a thing and stuck, and they go to, the other one goes to save them. Doesn't really matter which one is stuck. The thing is going to be a conflict between O'Neill and Ferretti. And O'Neill's going to have to take Ferretti out to save everyone in the line of duty. That is dark for this show, I think.
That is super dark. Can you imagine going into that episode coming off of this as a premiere?
It's like, hey, this is so great. We beat Apophis and this is awesome. Now watch this guy kill his buddy.
Oh, man, this got depressing real quick. Like, you got to save those for like episodes like 9 or 12 or 13 or something like that. Maybe 15.
Unless the series is really using this to reestablish itself and take a turn. Maybe that's happening.
They know that they're good for like another 60 some odd episodes. So let's go. All right. Well, we will see right here next time on SG1 for the first time, guys. Thanks so much for joining us out there. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave a rating and review. Please share the podcast with someone who loves Stargate SG1 or somebody who needs to discover this incredible franchise. So until next time, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get out of here.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah, Jeff.
I have this feeling that's been kind of eating at me since I did the prediction just a couple seconds ago, but I really feel like it's important that right now, like this is the moment that I need to say something profound. Yeah, but nothing really comes to mind.
For crying out loud.